Hey house guests, welcome to today's Celebrity Big Brother updates and spoilers. Our house guests of the day, here they are. Thank you guys so much for your support. As always, you are so awesome. Alright, so where are we at? What's happening? I know I left you guys on quite a cliffhanger yesterday. So when we ended yesterday's spoiler, the house guests were all waiting to see if Omarosa was going to come back from the hospital. If you're hearing this right now and you're like, what the F are you talking about? You should probably check out yesterday's spoiler first because there was a lot of really good information in there. So, yeah, they were just waiting around like, is she coming back or what? Ross's initial plan for this eviction was to split up Keisha and Omarosa, but then he started playing the what if game. You know, what if Omarosa doesn't come back? We won't have to split up that duo anymore, so would we still try to get rid of Keisha, or would we do something else? So he's like, well, I could put up Keisha and Meta, and then use the power of veto to backdoor Shannon, who he just made a Final Four deal with the day before. Isn't that wild? I totally saw that coming. Just saying. So Ross is like, I don't know if I'm actually going to do that because it's scary. You know, but it is an option. And he doesn't trust Shannon and James, so maybe he should take this opportunity. So, you know, he's feeling kind of like, ugh, about Shannon because he found out that she and Omarosa made a Final Two deal on, day one. And then Shannon lied about it. He asked her, do you have any Final Two deals at some point? And she was like, no. That's a lie. Maury did the lie detector test, and that was a lie. All right, so the feeds were in and out yesterday afternoon. I have to say, the animals that are up for adoption, so precious. I don't even mind when the feeds are down because we just get to watch those beautiful babies running around. It's great. So anyway, the feeds came back briefly at 4:30 p.m. Big Brother time to show us that Omarosa is back. It seems like the incident during the HOH competition was asthma related. We didn't know that at first because Marissa was like, yeah, I sent Omarosa to the hospital or something. So it sounded like she freaking hit her or something with one of those bowling balls. But no, I believe it was asthma related. And I think when they were on their HOH lockdown yesterday, Big Brother was doing something with the air vents. I think they were putting filters in there per Omarosa's request. Also, I think they may have added some humidifiers. You know this is a celebrity season, right? But yeah, that's what that HOH lockdown was all about. And what was I going to say? Yeah, so we just saw her get back. She didn't talk to anybody right away. She just got in her bed and went to sleep. The feeds went back down after her return. And then when they came back, by the time everybody realized that she was back in the house, she was already sleeping. So, yeah, they were just like, hey, she's back. And that was it. Okay, so then Ross and Meta were discussing the nominations up in the HOH room because they didn't do them at this point. These Ross and Meta conversations are everything. I feel like Ross is one of the few people that Meta really opens up to in the house, and he's got some good stuff to say sometimes because he's kind of on the outside of all the BS alliances and stuff in the house, so he sees what's going on. He gives some pretty good advice. So Meta's like, all right, everybody knows I'm trying to go home, but if you want me to stay and you need me to stay, I'll stay. Wow, that's so nice of you to want to stay in this game where you could win $250,000. How charitable of you. So he's like, yeah, I want to help try and clear the path for you to win. So Ross is like, okay, I really appreciate it. And if you still want to go, I will push for you to leave after this eviction. I just don't get it. Why is Meta there? He doesn't need the money, right? I mean, he's a freaking former NBA player. He's got to have, so much money, right? I just don't understand it. So, Ross is asking him, who do you think I should nominate? So Meta's like, well, it would be in my best interest for you to put me up. But for you, you got to get rid of Shannon or James. He says, Keisha and Omarosa are not threats to you right now. If you want to win, you've got to get right to work and take out, a power player, meaning Shannon or James. I don't necessarily know that, Omarosa and Keisha aren't threats to Ross because I think a very deep line has been drawn in the sand, and Keisha and Omarosa are pretty pissed. Then again, there are so many people that turn their backs on them that it's going to be hard for them to settle on one specific target, you know? I don't think Ross is like their #1 target. I mean, he might be now because he won the HOH, but I don't know. But anyway, again, Meadow's like, I would love for you to put me up, but I don't think that would help you. You know, what is that going to do for you? Because I'm here on your side, so I guess getting rid of me wouldn't really help. Yeah. So he's like, when are you going to get this opportunity again to go for Shannon and James? They're strong competitors. There's a good chance that they're going to win a lot of competitions, so maybe you should just go for it now. So Ross is like, yeah, I get what you're saying. It makes sense, but it would be so easy to just put up Keisha and Omarosa. He could just say in his speech that, like, he's just carrying out what everybody else wanted. But then he's thinking about it, and he's like, you know what? I don't think that Omarosa would be able to win in the end. Like, who's going to vote for her on the jury? So he's realizing it would be good to keep her around. Also, she's got these asthma issues now, so she's probably not going to be as much of a physical threat in the competitions as they previously thought. I don't know. So Ross is still kind of like thinking about it. He doesn't know what he's going to do, but Meta says he will respect whatever Ross ends up doing. I have to get this out. Okay. So it's not boredom. It's just I'm really tired. Okay. So then Ross and Keisha were chatting in the HOH room, and the feeds were down for the beginning of this conversation, so we didn't get to see like how it started. But basically, Ross was telling Keisha, you're going up on the block. He's like, I don't know how the house is going to vote, but I don't want you to go, and I want you to know that. This is not me. This is everyone else. So he explains why he flipped last week. He says he felt like he was the low man on the totem pole, and he would have been the first one voted out of that Dynasty Alliance, which was the girls' alliance plus Ross. So he was like, yeah, Omarosa was saying that nobody with a PP was going to win this game. So that didn't make him feel good. And Keisha's like, I did not say that. That was Omarosa. So Keisha is then saying, like, a lot of the information that made people flip was not true. She didn't have an alliance with Chuck. And she was like, I asked him not to put me up if he won HOH. So Ross is like, yeah, I get it. Like, that's what you're supposed to do as the HOH. He was really more bothered by being kind of, like, left out of his own alliance. So then she's saying, yeah, I think I put my trust in the wrong person. I believe she's referring to Omarosa. Is she throwing her under the bus or what? So then Ross was like, well, again, if it were up to just me, you would not be going up this week. Technically, it is his decision. Like, obviously, he's trying to play this up so it seems like if he doesn't do what the house wants, he's going to be in big trouble. But ultimately, it is his decision. So Keisha apologizes to Ross if he felt left out of the group. She said he would never want him to feel that way. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, a little while later, Ross was telling Marissa about his conversation with Keisha, and Ross is like, you know what, I had a really good talk with her. I still trust her. In fact, I trust her more than I trust James and Shannon. So the plan right now, he's still going to put up Keisha and Omarosa, but if one of them or somebody from the group wins the power veto, it might be time to backdoor Shannon. And he keeps saying that it's like, he doesn't want this out there, and he doesn't want people talking about it because he doesn't want it to get back to Shannon, but, like, his whole group is talking about it, and it's getting, like, bigger and bigger. So I would not be surprised if this somehow slipped to Shannon. I don't know, get a few glasses of wine or champagne and brandy, and she might blow. So the feeds were down for nominations, and as planned, Ross put up Omarosa and Keisha. Everybody appeared to be in good spirits after the ceremony. And then Keisha was in the bathroom area with Mark. I feel like we haven't seen a ton of Mark. Like, he's always present, but, like, what is he saying? So she's telling Mark, I think I finally found out who the culprit is. And then she says, Omarosa. She doesn't know that I know. What is she talking about? I think she means that Omarosa was planting seeds about Keisha working with Chuck last week. And that's what ultimately got Keisha in trouble. I guess. I think there was a conversation between Shannon and Omarosa where Omarosa was like, yeah, Keisha already talked to Chuck. And I think that was kind of like the tipping point where Shannon was like, what? So, yeah, I mean, she's kind of right there. But Mark was like, oh, every day is something new in here. Are you playing the game, Mark? Okay, whatever. So, Ross and Omarosa had a quick chat last night, and she seemed really chill. She's asking, like, is there a consensus within the group that you're working with of who the target is this week? And Ross is like, no. Which, you know, there is a lot of disagreement so far with who's going to be going. They don't even know if it's going to be Keisha or Omarosa. But forgetting about the whole backdoor plan right now, between Keisha and Omarosa is definitely split. Some people want one to go and some people want the other. So it's not like it's a set thing. But Ross is saying, I put both of you guys up together so that you'd both have a chance to play for the veto. Because he feels just like backdoors are so gross and icky. Is he going to be backdooring someone this week? So Omarosa's like, she's all calm again, you know, she's all relaxed. And I feel like this is part of her strategy here. She's saying, yeah, my time out of the house really gave me perspective. This is just a game. You know, I have 10 new friends. I don't know. But Ross is explaining, like, why he flipped last week, just like he was telling Keisha. And she was like, you know what? I think it was a great move for you. You should definitely own that. If you make it to the final two, it'd be a great argument for why you should win. So she's like, yeah, good job. And she also brings up how she's glad that she didn't have to lie to Chuck about who she was voting for last week. Was that kind of like a little subtle jab there? I don't know. But an unrelated tidbit from this conversation, Omarosa let Ross know that she got to have a monitored phone call with her husband when she was in the hospital. So that's kind of interesting, but I guess the producers were listening so that they weren't talking about anything game related. But again, I don't think this would be happening if a normie had to leave the house and go to the hospital. Like, I don't think Christmas ever talked to her family last season. I think the producers were talking to her family for her, but I don't think she actually got to talk to them. So that's kind of interesting. But anyway, later, Brandy and Ross were up in the HOH room, and he was telling her about the conversation with Keisha, and Brandy was really pushing for James or Shannon to go this week. We saw her doing this the other day, too. She's still going with it. But then she was also saying that she wants Omarosa out because she feels like they could pull Keisha back in. I don't know. Do you think that Keisha would work with the group again? Because I have my doubts. But at the same time, like, who's she going to work with? Like, there's not that many other people because it's almost like a full house alliance. So, who's she going to work with? I don't know. But anyway, Brandy really likes Keisha. They were on the same season of The Apprentice together, and even though Keisha was like the first one out, she did get to know her a little bit during the first task. So she's like, Keisha is very straightforward. She's not a shady person. She's a hard worker. She'd be a great person to have on the team. Yeah, but you already burned her, so I don't know if she's going to want to work with you. So anyway, Brandy is like, yeah, we got to make a move on Shannon and James before they win like every single competition because they're really strong mentally and physically. And Brandy's telling Ross, like, we have a really solid alliance. We have a solid alliance to back you up if you make this move. You have me, you've got Ari and Marissa. Like, we're all with you. So Ross is like, I don't know. It's all going to depend on who wins that power of veto. It would be the perfect storm if Keisha or Omarosa were to win, because then they wouldn't have to get their own hands dirty and, like, use the veto on one of them. They could just take care of it themselves. So, yeah, I think he wants either Keisha or Omarosa to win. But he says even the thought of, like, backdooring Shannon or James gives him instant diarrhea. Ew! Okay, so anyway, the rest of the night, pretty much just chilling out. Fast forward to this morning. Omarosa and Keisha were chatting in the bathroom at one point. I believe Omarosa was, like, doing her makeup or whatever. And she says, I'll be embarrassed if the Pillsbury Doughboy wins this game. Wow, that is so not cool. She was talking about Ross, and Keisha was like, you cannot call him that. Like, that's messed up. Agreed. moving on, they were talking about who would go up if one of them won the power of veto. And then Omarosa says, might be Meta. Might be the Black Trifecta. Ah! Okay, this is getting really ugly. It's getting really ugly. It's not cool. So anyway, it sounds like they're going to be picking the players for the veto competition shortly. So, like, are they playing it today? Or what's going on? Because I was under the impression that they were going to be playing live on Monday night's episode, but maybe they're just having the ceremony on Monday. I don't know. If they do have the competition and it's done at like a normal hour tonight, check back and I will put the results and the info for the spoiler, but I don't know if they're having it tonight, so we'll see. Keep our eyes on that, but let me know what you guys think of what's going on, and until tomorrow, much love.